It began with a dream. As mind became one with the machine, our consciousness was immersed in a digital reality as real as any other. We struggled to keep spirit alive, but, saturated by media, we lost our ability to dream and longed for escape from the ravaged earth. And so, it was given to us. A portal into a world of designer dreams, crafted for our escape. All who could afford the delights of the virtual fulfilled their desires in a realm of endless possibilities. A new breed of performer was born, whose dreams would be the opiate for the masses.
The following podcast contains some adult language and content. Proceed with caution. Hi, my name is Randy. I'd like to welcome you, and especially you, to the podcast today, my 32nd podcast, and that's quite an accomplishment. And without further introduction, let's get started, shall we? First up on the podcast docket, we have using your bodies as a playground near a playground. No good. Using your bodies as a playground near children on an actual playground. What the hell were you thinking? These two clear-thinking folks started rubbing up on each other and taking off their pants in plain sight of children who were playing on a playground. They eventually adjourned to a vehicle and went at it with the door open. Police were called, and when they were approached to the vehicle, the woman in the tryst spotted them and said, "Shane, we're going to jail." Yeah, I'd say that's right. A Friday afternoon lovemaking session landed a man and a woman in Palm Beach County Jail after several children witnessed the sexual acts, according to an arrest report. Shane Johnson, 36, and Daniel Steger, 26, started rubbing up against each other at a tree next to the Green Acres playground, where Green Acres is the place to be. And not for this lovemaking tryst, but playground where the children could see. The report said several of the children who ranged in age from 8 to 10 said they could see that Johnson's pants were pulled down. The couple then moved into a pickup truck where an officer found them having sex with the door open, the report said. A few months ago, a Bradenton couple was caught having sex on the beach by a grandma with a camera. See what happened in the photo in this video report. Well, I'm not set up for that right now. When Steger saw the officer, she turned and said, "Shane, we're going to jail." Both faced 4 counts of lewd or lascivious behavior and were released from Palm Beach County Jail. Steger was released Saturday on $4,000 bond, and Johnson was released on Sunday on $12,000 bond. Boy, they really don't want to see the swan sticker, do they? That's what we got going on in Palm Beach County. Next up on the podcast docket, we have the guy who turned an eat a bag of dicks joke into a $150,000 Gummy schlong empire. Brady Grumpelt holds his glass high. "Gentlemen to evil," he proclaims, and with that they down their shot of Jameson. He's pretty nonchalant for a man who earned $80,000 off of gummy dicks in one day. On March 4th, while half cut on whiskey, Grumpelt bought the domain dicksbymail.com, hoping to have a little corner of the internet where anyone can pump in $20, and as a result, a person of their choosing would receive a literal bag of peckers alongside a letter instructing the receiver to eat them. It all started out as a simple joke that Grumpelt came up with at his bartending job. Initially, the idea was far more vulgar than its current state. The first version involved sending someone not gummy pricks, but a cheap dildo with a letter that said, "Go fuck yourself." Grumpelt felt that it might have been a tad extreme and decided to go with the gummies. It was a good idea, one that got Grumpelt a few sales here and there. That all changed when one of his friends, one of the first recipients of the bag of dicks, took a picture and posted it on Imgur. That's when the internet lost its collective wiener-loving mind. The post was seen over 400,000 times, and the orders started rolling in. On the first day, $1,000, then $30,000 on the second, and $80,000 on the third. It just kept going, and within a few days, Grumpet had sold over $150,000 worth of schlongs. It got to the point that Grumpet didn't know what to do. When you go from a joke that does like 6 orders in a week or 2 to $1,000 a day, it's crazy, Grumpelt told Vice. I said to myself, okay, I've got to order myself a bunch of dicks. When you do $30,000 the next day, you basically don't have to look at dicks again. It just gets so big so fast, I just knew I had to find somebody else to do this stuff for me. He set out to find a supplier in the U.S. where the majority of the sales were taking place. He put thought into this product. He wanted to be a little bit veiny but not too graphic, he told me. He was in essence on the lookout for the Rolls Royce of gummy one-eyed trouser snakes. And he found just that. It was at the supplier that sold gummy cocks for bachelorette parties. And he immediately started buying. He did the math, and if he put all the beef bayonets he recently ordered in his household, it would fill up our entire basement 4 inches deep with dicks. He gave me a bag to sample, and I can vouch that the baby makers are mighty tasty. They taste like those little gummy dinosaurs, but while reaching into his backpack to retrieve more members, Grumpelt missed a call. "Oh, I've got Texas calling me," he said after looking at his phone. Apparently, the callers from Texas are interested in buying the site. Grumpelt has dicksbymail.com up for auction on Flippa, a website business selling site. He had an offer that was above his reserve price of $100,000, but the bidder was a fraud and essentially ruined the auction for Grumpelt. So he now has to deal with buyers over the phone. He wouldn't tell me the exact price of the aforementioned Texans offer, but he did say that they met the reserve price, meaning it was at least $100,000. However, he doesn't know if he'll sell the baloney pony business just yet. Essentially, if I filled all the orders myself, I can make in the neighborhood of $120,000 to $130,000 on what currently is, and then a little more going into the future. He told me a lot of people online have been saying this has slowed down. It's slowed down to $5,000 a day, and if anybody wants to tell me I'll sell $5,000 a day, then they're welcome to. During his time talking to Texas about his Tallywhacker company for a possible $100,000, he orders us another round of Jameson. As I said, he's very nonchalant about this kind of stuff. Grumpelt is a big, tall, bald, down-to-earth guy, one who is quick with a joke and a laugh. The 29-year-old openly admits that he's been lucky, and he doesn't complain about the stress that comes from being thrust into this weird position. He tells me he's not going to quit his bartending job and is going to use his money to start another company, a company that may be a little more sustainable than a heat-seeking, love missile-focused one. He describes the idea as a Airbnb for bartenders. That said, he does have some other plans for the wedding tackle capital before cutting putting it to good use. Myself and my best friend, who are going to be using the money to start another business, I think we're just going to have a money fight, he said. So we're going to have like $10,000 or $15,000 in like 20s and just throw piles of money at each other because it'll be fun. How many times do you get to do that? Before the money fight, before anything, he's going to pay back his father, who he had to borrow some cash from when the hosepipe business started skyrocketing. Grumpelt said it was a little awkward arranging the deal, as his dad, who is a little conservative-minded, didn't call the pork swords by their name or by any other euphemisms. He says products. Grumpelt said, he'll ask me, how's your business going? I always say, bag of dicks? The bag of dicks are going well, Dad. Indeed they are. The bag of dicks game seems to be going just fine for Grumpelt. Yeah, looking at the picture of him, a little bag of wieners, very colorful. I think those would go over big at bachelorette parties and everything else. Gummy dicks, who would have thought it? If I got $1 for every penis reference in that story, I could retire. Next up on the podcast docket is a news story from the Vice.com website. Dominated by a goddess, hypnodoms and the oral world of erotic hypnosis. Let me pop this news story up here. Does the idea of a deviant witch putting you under an erotic spell turn you on? Being kept in a mental prison by transgressive powers that far exceed your own resistance, begging, transforming, and coming at the snap of her fingers? Your mind turned to putty, warped in any direction, a plaything for someone whose hypnotic abilities transcend the laws of time and space? Yeah, probably not. That's a little more intense for most people's taste, but there's enough fantasy-tinged erotica out there that you can't write it off completely. Man created the siren and the succubus. Man has always dreamed of a devilishly otherworldly woman to come along and steal his control. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world of the succubi or witches or sirens. No spells, no sleight of hand hexes, just the mundanity of imagination. So where do you turn when you can only get off through the magical interference and the slash flicks aren't cutting it anymore? That's where your hypnodom comes in. Erotic hypnosis is exactly as it sounds. A hypnotist, usually a woman, puts you under a trance and makes suggestions that get you all hot and bothered. It's classic dominant, submissive kink, but with a metaphysical bent. Getting bound and gagged might be fun, but erotic hypnosis delivers into more abstract concepts like mind control or feminization. The vendors taken up appropriately. I can't read today. Hey, listen, you're getting this stuff for free, okay? The vendors take on appropriately gothic names. Isabella Valentine, Nikki Fatale, to name a couple, and offer their services in MP3 downloads. You browse and select a trance that seems to appeal to your sensibilities. Do you want to be hypnotized on a beach? Perhaps a spa? They can make that happen. Some of the more austere options include penis enlargement and the mythical hands-free orgasm. Allegedly, you just plug in, lean back, and let the words make you come. I see it as their perception that they'll feel like their penis will get bigger or smaller or whatever it is they're going for, says Jenny DeMilo, a veteran hypnodom. I do all sorts of crazy stuff. I have a series on premature ejaculation, like men wanting to premature ejaculate, and that was really popular. DeMilo has been a sex worker for a long time, starting as a call girl before becoming a traditional dominatrix. It was in those years that a friend in the industry mentioned she was making ends meet during her doing erotic hypnosis work on the side. At first she was hesitant, but eventually gave it a shot on a website called Night Flirt. I did a lot of research, read a lot of hypnosis scripts, put up my first files, and they sold like crazy, says DeMilo. At first they were like little 5-minute things, and now I do all hour-long files. It was a natural progression. I don't have to see clients anymore. I saw them as a call girl. I saw them as a dom, but now I can make a living without the physical interaction. Like many other hypnodoms on the internet, Jenny is not a certified hypnotherapist, self-taught, taking cues from other vendors. Jenny puts her own spin on the established formula. She's known for her feminization files. Hypnotic trances designed specifically to force grown men to feel like sissies. A couple samples from her website include cross-dressing party slut, obey cock, and of course cum bath. The clients are interested in exploring, but they're also comfortable because, well, they're not really doing it. I'm forcing them, says DeMilo. A dom has to be active. An erotic hypnosis client who prefers to remain anonymous told me, when you're conditioned, you will crave her words. The direct contact with your goddess will amplify your feelings, and you'll fall deeper under her spell and feel more pleasure. To me, a dom has to be caring and honest. I wouldn't engage in a relationship with just anybody. Trust is the key word here. You can never fully let go if you don't trust your goddess. Yeah, a lot of trust would be important. That's the thing about hypnosis. It's impossible to force anyone to do anything against their will. The standard line is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. If you listen to, say, sissy cock slave, you won't become a sissy cock slave unless that's what you want. Terms like force and mind control are just buzzwords to elevate the kink. You don't see a dominatrix for mutual conversation. The scene is not for everybody. You have to train and practice in order to achieve something. Some people are more suggestible than others and experience trance differently, says the client. Through training and repetition, you'll probably reach your goals, but if you go into the adventure half-hearted, your rewards might be limited. Erotic hypnosis files tend to be pretty hefty, averaging around $50 for a full hour-long session, going up to high 70s for some merchants. It's expensive enough that it's given rise to a pretty substantial torrent economy in the scene. When people create fetish videos, they charge by the minute, says DeMilo. Audio is generally longer, and I used to go price per minute, but eventually it just matters if the market will care. Financial doms charge crazy amounts of money for their files. If you build it, they will come. The anonymous customer agrees. The sessions I have bought have been between $25 and $35. It's completely fair. They bring me so much pleasure, and I don't think my goddess cheats me or rips me off in any way, he says. After all, it takes time to practice. It takes time to produce a nice session. You need the proper gear. You've spent countless hours training your tone of voice, writing a script, and recording and editing it yourself. The doms are artists who put a lot of time in their craftsmanship. I still enjoy sessions I bought a year ago, so I still feel like it's a bargain. I decided to give erotic hypnosis a try, choosing Jackpot by Isabella Valentine. Perhaps the most famous artifact in erotic hypnosis history, or at least the most readily available. You can find it free on Daily Motion if you're curious. The idea is Miss Valentine takes you into a deep trance and anchors, well, an orgasm to the word jackpot. The science behind that is dubious at best, but I appreciate the effort. I'll give her this, the trance part of the hypnosis totally works. I felt cozy, warm, and entranced halfway through. The sexy stuff still didn't quite do it for me, but that's no fault of hers. It's not just my scene. The femdom mindfuckery would almost certainly work on someone more inclined toward those vibes. But for me, they just happily glided by, so no orgasm, but a pretty nice nap. And honestly, after talking to Jenny DeMilo, any residual sexiness that erotic hypnosis might have was kind of ruined. She likes doing erotic hypnosis because she can pay the bills without touching the clients in person. I get great stories from erotic hypnosis, but I'm just making a living, says DeMilo. The clients believe that I'm getting something out of it, and sometimes they're correct, but that's just part of the fantasy. I'm amazed occasionally why they want this. It's generally not my fetish, it's my job. Turning men into sissies doesn't get me off, but if they believe it, I'll let them believe it. I ask the client if he needs to suspend his disbelief and instead engage in the fantasy. That his dom just isn't doing her job. He seems resistant to that idea. Nobody is presenting anything. Everyone likes to be praised. Imagine if you got a fan mail every day and how amazed you are and how powerful you are and how much pleasure and enjoyment you're giving another living creature, he says. It's a huge ego trip, and those dominant women get off on that. I suppose that's the best you can do in the world without a succubi. Well, there you go. You can look that up. Erotic hypnosis. Might be worth a try. Not the domination part, but some other thing. Might suit your fancy. Yes, it's time once again for a Crybaby of the Week, chosen from 2 news stories from Vice.com. And first news story up here that you can vote on. A woman fired a gun into McDonald's because they messed up her order. Yes, it's time once again to marvel at some idiots who don't know how to handle the world. The incident was McDonald's didn't put any bacon on a woman's bacon cheeseburger twice. The appropriate response probably would be complaining twice, but the actual response was she fired into the restaurant. This is Shanika Torres. They got her mug shot up here. She looks a little disappointed. A black woman with bleached blonde hair. Interesting look there. Last February, Shanika Torres, pictured above, and an unnamed friend ordered bacon cheeseburgers from McDonald's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I guess I shouldn't read those quotes there, but pictured above, yeah. Like you can see the picture right now. But if you go to Vice.com, you can. Staff at the restaurant messed up the order, giving Shanika and her friend regular cheeseburgers. Shanika complained to a manager at the restaurant, who told her that she and her friend could get a free bacon cheeseburgers on their next visit. So far, so good. They returned later that night and once again asked for bacon cheeseburgers. And again, they were served cheeseburgers without bacon. Shanika was not super into this. According to a report on the local ABC affiliate, Shanika yelled at a worker before pulling out a pistol and firing one round into the restaurant from her car. The bullet shattered her car window and passed through the restaurant. She shot it through her car window. There's a bright move. Passed through the restaurant at about head level without hitting anyone. Shanika was arrested shortly afterwards at her home. She was charged with carrying a concealed weapon, discharging a firearm into a building, and felony use of a firearm. She appeared in court yesterday, where a jury took less than an hour finding her guilty. She was sentenced next month and could face up to 7 years in prison. No word on why the fuck the staff at McDonald's had such difficulty putting bacon on cheeseburgers. Yeah, I've never had the thought of taking a gun to a McDonald's if they'd mess up my order. I usually just drive off in disgust. But then we got the second crybaby of the podcast, an unnamed 12-year-old. The incident was a woman confiscated her daughter's iPhone. The appropriate response would be sucking it up until you're old enough to buy your own iPhone. But actually, the girl, 12 years old, attempted to kill her mother. According to a report on Denver's Fox 31, getting her done for the Denver area. On an unspecified date, an unnamed woman seized the iPhone of her unnamed daughter for unknown reasons. For some unspecified amount of time after this, the mother drank a smoothie. As she did so, she reportedly noticed that it smelled of bleach. She thought that her daughter had maybe just cleaned the glass and still was bleach in it, said Commander Heidi Prentrup at the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. After finishing the smoothie, the woman is reported to have gotten sick. According to police, the mother realized that the bleach was not actually a couple of days later when she drank from a glass of water that also smelled of bleach. The mother confronted her daughter, who allegedly confessed she was trying to kill her. She said that she wanted to kill her mother because she had taken her iPhone from her, Commander Heidi said. The daughter has been arrested on 2 counts of attempted murder. The mother did not ingest enough of the bleach for it to be life-threatening. Who is the bigger crybaby? Let me know. randyms12@gmail.com. And I will announce the winner if you just let me know. Yes, it is time once again to put this podcast to bed and post it to the interwebs. I know all my listeners are bursting into tears at that fact. All my hundreds of listeners. All my 50 listeners. Well, maybe 10. But I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening. I'd like to thank you, and especially you, whether you listen by iPhone, pod, or pad, laptop, desktop, MP3 player, Android phone, however you listen to it, homework or car. Thank you. And you can also, if you find my website, which you probably did, infotainmentpodcast.com, you can also make a financial donation, which would be greatly appreciated to my efforts here. You can also tweet my Twitters at infotainmentpod. And that's the end of the show. Hope you have a great week, and thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye, folks.
Now, baby, I pretend They gonna die someday. I got news, you never got to go. Look out! Hey! Yeah! Happy Independence Day, baby!